Welcome back, everybody. This is Burke,
And this is Sean.
and we're back for another season of hockey with the Clappercast. This is episode 22, and it's October 1st, 2019. And this hockey season starts tomorrow, so we've got a couple of things to go over. We've got some RFA talk, some season predictions for who we think is going to win it all, some division winners, and some trophies that we think how they're going to pan out. And then to wrap it up, we'll talk about some breakout years we think are going to happen and some surprises that might be coming our way this season. So, got a lot to talk about. So let's move right ahead to the RFA talk. So, Sean, I know you had a bit on this that you wanted to go over, so I'll pass it along to you.
Yeah, we had a pretty interesting offseason with the amount of high profile RFAs that were available, and they were all waiting until the end. So we basically sat here for 3 months over the summer watching 6 or 7 major RFAs not do anything, and then they all pretty much signed within a couple of weeks. I'm sort of excluding Mitch, definitely not Paul Marner, because he kind of was a bit of a offshoot from the rest of them because obviously he's kind of doing his own thing with his massive cap hit compared to everybody else. But we kind of saw the dominoes start to fall over the last 2 weeks. And other than Marner, I mean, pretty much all of them were pretty fair contracts. The major trend we saw is like that bridge deal thing going on.
Yeah, we saw that with Line. Who else did we see that with? Because Line,
Kachuk and
well,
Point,
right, because Line was the most extreme 2 years, right?
yeah, as well
Um,
as Besser and Carlo and McAvoy.
right. Was Morrissey like that too?
No, Morrissey signed for 8. Oh, and Werenski too.
Yeah, that bet on yourself team gets a bit of a discount for a few years, but then they might have to pay huge money down the road. Um,
Exactly. And what we saw with some of these, I think Rantanen's was the big one, if I'm remembering correctly. It was Points actually, pardon me, where it's set up so that in the last year of that contract, Point has $9 million in salary, which
right.
when they go to extend that qualifying offer to him at the end of that contract, they have to give him that, and I think it's plus 10%. I didn't quite look into that in the CBA, but he's set himself up to get paid after that contract ends.
Right. That's how Timo Meyer's contract is structured too. He's like, I think his AAV is like 6, but then his last season is 10. So the qualifying offer is
Yes,
going to have to be 10 plus. So that's
which
pretty
that's
ridiculous.
that's absolutely massive for well for him, to be honest. Like, being good, but that's a pretty big bet.
Yeah, definitely.
He must be taking more of a cut now to have the payoff later.
For sure. And the RFAs, just like everybody predicted, the last remaining RFA of particular note is Julius Honka.
As we all expected.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess there's Pugliarvi too,
Yeah,
technically.
that's true, but kind of
That's a
everybody
different
kind of
story.
expected that one to go the distance. But Honka, I know he's been rumored to be on trade bait for a while.
Yeah,
In our season preview write-ups, I think he's going to get moved. I said that in there, and I still think he's going to get moved. He's kind of like the odd man out. But yeah, I mean, it
I
was
don't
kind
think
of kind of interesting
he's
to
been
seeing
sort of under
everybody.
impressive too for
Oh
Dallas,
yeah,
hasn't he?
yeah, he has really. He's kind of like stagnated a little bit on his development.
So that
Um,
whole clean slate might help him.
yeah, exactly. So division winners.
Yeah, I think we're in pretty much agreement in the East.
Yeah, okay. I don't know what yours are
It's
yet,
gonna be
so
Tampa and
let's.
Washington.
Yeah, yeah. So I think it's going to be a tough battle in the Metro. I got Washington first and then Pittsburgh second. But I could easily see Philly, the Islanders,
Yeah,
Carolina battling pretty hard for that
definitely.
second division spot.
I've basically got the same as you, but rearranged a bit because I've got Washington in first, and then Philly, the Islanders, and then Pittsburgh. And like all of those positions, honestly, they could kind of go anyway. I think Washington's going to trend on the higher end of that regardless, and then the other three will just fight for 2, 3, 4.
Okay. Yeah, it's gonna be a big slog in that division, I think. And
And
then
it's not going to be like a high end competition like you'd have in the old Metro where it's like the best teams in the league. It's kind of like a whole bunch of teams fighting for mid level playoff spots.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's going to be a battle at the top end, and then the bottom is going to just be pretty bad, I think. Some people think New York Rangers are going to be better, but I don't have them doing that well. Um, I have Columbus last, and New Jersey and New York Rangers pretty much interchangeable, second to last. Um,
I think Columbus will be a bit better. I've got them above New Jersey for now. Just I'm
okay,
not convinced. I'm not convinced that New Jersey got they're good enough of a team yet because they just kind of had everyone show up this summer and they're probably going to have some growing pains. And Columbus has that system in place already
right. I'm
that hopefully they can overcome some
a little
stuff.
hesitant with Corpusalo being a starter, but
Very.
Philly just lost to a team in Europe, so who
Yeah, I
knows?
was in the Swiss league. I can't remember their name.
Yeah. Um, and moving
Chase
along to the
Chase Carter
Atlantic.
Hart.
Yeah, the Atlantic. Um, let's hear yours first.
It's the same as yours.
Exact same. Okay.
Exact same. Yeah,
Okay. So
you go
I've
right
got
ahead.
we've got Tampa Bay winning the division. I think that's a pretty safe bet. And then Toronto
I
rounding up for
do, however,
second.
think Toronto could push Tampa Bay for that one spot because of how much they've done with their defense over the summer and their overall depth.
Yeah, I would agree on that. They have a pretty solid shot this season. Um, and then in third, I got Boston. I think again, they could take second.
They
They
could.
could take first, but I think them in third is a fair bet. And then after them, the Panthers. I think they're going to jump up, probably fight for a playoff spot with the Metro, as we talked about, being a bit weaker this season. And then Montreal, I think, is gonna miss again, but they're trending up. And then Buffalo to Detroit, Ottawa, the bottom.
Yeah, I think Montreal is going to be very close, pretty much the same as last year, where they maybe just miss. I could even see them beating out Florida if Carey Price has another Vezina year.
We're okay.
I think they've got the team in place considering how close they were last year. Okay, they were in the contention for it until like the last 3 or 4 games, right?
Yeah, yeah, they just missed. I think
So
Carolina just beat them.
yeah, they kind of
Uh,
Montreal end up losing more of their last handful of games or something, and that's where Carolina pulled ahead.
yeah, Carolina and
And
Columbus
Columbus, pardon me.
just beat them out. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Um,
I think Montreal is going to be pretty close to challenging, as long as some of their bigger pieces, like if Shea Weber stays healthy, if guys like Paling and Kotkaniemi get healthy, stay healthy, and continue to develop, that they should have kind of that offense that they were missing over the last handful of years, and defense is already there,
yeah, for sure. I
especially
think
with
they
the
just sent.
addition of like Ben Sherrod too.
I think they just sent Paling down to the AHL, but
Yes,
he'll definitely be up.
they did. He's kind of like half recovered from a concussion right now, so I'm wondering if that's more of a conditioning thing.
Oh, yeah, probably. Who knows? Concussions are work in mysterious ways, and so does
Yes,
the staff of NHL teams. So who knows? Um,
some
moving
more so
along,
than others.
pushing out west, we got the Central. So you said that we were different in the West. So
Yeah,
I am curious how you have the Central, because I struggled with this one, but ultimately put Dallas number one because I think they're going to be a surprising team this year.
I can see that they've got more pieces in place, and that they've been working hard on that because they were missing defense and goaltending for so long that they finally got them in place, and then it's probably going to be close to close to a breakthrough for them.
Like I said, I really struggled with this one because at the top end, the Central's really strong.
Yeah,
I got Dallas, then Colorado, and then Nashville. Um, Colorado made some huge step forward this offseason. Everything's kind of got to go right for them to be that second spot or first. They could be first very well, but they need Grubauer to play well. They don't really have a good backup right now. Um, they've got to have a second line this season, which they did make some huge strides to achieve. But like I said, it's gotta go right for them, and I think
yeah.
it will.
I think Nazem Kadri is going to be a great fit with their second line.
Yeah, kind of a guy who ran out of real estate in Toronto. Couldn't
Yeah,
really.
because he kind of got pushed down, right? So
Yeah,
he is a second line player, and he's going to help out on their second power play unit too.
yeah, for sure.
And now they've got that depth. That's kind of second option instead of having to completely rely everything on McKinnon, Rantanen, and Landeskog.
Yeah, definitely. So then I have Nashville in third. They're still a great team. They lost Subban, so a little bit less offense, but maybe a bit better defense. I don't know. They're a tough one for me, but I think they're still a super competitive team. They've got some great talent, and Pekka Rinne is looking like he's still a good goaltender, good starter. He might start a little bit less games this year, but um, Saros will be up to the task, I think. And then I've got St. Louis fourth, then Chicago, Winnipeg, and Minnesota. So I'm predicting Winnipeg falling hard in the standings based on what happened to their defense this season. So why don't you say what your predictions are, and then we can kind of talk more about some of these individual teams if we need to.
Yeah, so I've got Nashville still winning the division. Um, I mean, they lost Subban, but they seem to have enough of a team in place, and I mean Duchesne too.
Right.
So I think they're still more than strong enough to take that division. I've got Colorado jumping up to second as well for basically the same reason that this looks like it's going to be a pretty big breakout year for them. Um, they've got a couple of roster holes to fill, but they've kind of got that youthful and energy that seems to be propelling them forward, like we saw last year.
Right.
I've got St. Louis in third and Dallas in fourth, but that's kind of, again, you were talking about it kind of being pretty difficult to pick those ones, and like there's too many teams up at the top to figure out where they're gonna place.
Yep.
Um, I think St. Louis just has a better Dallas in their well-roundedness, the strength of the defense, and I mean St. Louis just added Justin Falk too,
Yep.
and Dallas has the better goalie, and Bishop is far better and more proven than Binnington, but look at the pieces on St. Louis, and I think they're going to have a bit more energy and momentum coming into the year. Then I've got Winnipeg in fifth, and then Chicago six, Minnesota in seven. I don't think Minnesota's got much of a shot
No.
doing anything productive this year,
No.
unfortunately for them.
Do you think that Winnipeg is in any, if they're in the running for playoffs at all?
Because of how weak the Pacific was last year, I think them placing in fifth in the Central, fifth or sixth, could leave contention for a spot. I don't see too much. I don't see them being significantly worse than the handful of teams in the Pacific competing for those spots. So they should still be in the mix.
Yeah, I mean I struggle putting them that low. I have them in sixth, but I mean their defense just got obliterated, and then if
And
Bufflin
it's
doesn't come
it's
back,
continuing to already because Beaulieu is out for 4 weeks. Brian Little's out for I think a month as well. We still don't know if Bufflin's coming back.
yeah.
So they're basically down, 2/3 of their defense and one of the replacements before the season even started.
Yeah, because they lost Myers, they lost Truba, they lost Sherratt. They might lose Bufflin. It's four
Yeah,
out of your top six. I mean, Sami Niku and
oh,
Morrissey can
he's
only
also injured
play.
right now.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah,
Um,
I was pretty high on reading and watching about him, writing Winnipeg's preview, and then it turns out he's injured right before the season starts. So he's going to miss a little
perfect.
bit of time.
So they've got Morrissey
But
returning.
yeah, it's basically just Morrissey.
Neat. Kind of surprising they didn't claim somebody like Christian Juice just for some more depth, but
They did just claim Dahlstrom from Chicago earlier today,
oh, okay.
and
All
that
right.
was kind of following the news of Beaulieu's injury.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, I really I struggle with them making playoffs this year just based on how their offseason went. They just
Yeah,
fell apart. I mean, at
yeah.
least they got Line A.
I did notice trend in Connor Hellebuck's career. is that he has a bad year, then a good year, then a bad year, then a good year. Last year was a bad year
Hmm.
by his standards. So he's on track for a good year,
Okay. Yeah, I
which
mean, I
could be the
guess
boost they need to cover the defense.
they got Connor and Laine, so I mean, it's not
Yeah,
too bad, but just losing that much defense I
yeah,
think it's going to be brutal for their systems. I think it's going to be brutal for their goals against. It's just rough.
definitely.
Anyway, let's move along to the Pacific. Why don't you go ahead on this one?
Yeah, so I've got a little bit of shifting around in the top three here with San Jose taking the division, Vegas finishing second, and Calgary dropping to third. Um, I'm not convinced that their goaltending is good enough to keep them where they were or how good they were last year. David Riddick is very unproven. He was very hit and miss over all of last year, and then Cam Talbot needs to have a bounce back year, which he's had two really rough seasons back to back here. So they're probably going to fall a bit, and looking at the amount of career years and guys who completely overperformed past expectations, they're probably going to fall down a little bit in production. Then I've got Arizona should be really, really close. They should have a wild card spot, I think, based off of how well they did last year with the amount of injuries they had. If their team stays a bit healthier, they've got a little bit more scoring touch now. They should be pretty close to a wild card spot. I have Edmonton in fifth, Vancouver in sixth, and then Anaheim and LA 7 and 8.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, ours looks pretty similar, just little minor differences. I've got Vegas winning the division. I just think that some of the acquisitions they made last season has put them over the edge. We're gonna have a full season of Stastny, Stone, Pacioretty.
One note on that actually, that I just was reading earlier today that they've got Cody Glass starting on that line in place of
Ooh,
Stastny.
ooh,
So it'll be Stone, Glass, and Pacioretty.
okay. So that could be interesting. Still,
Yeah.
I think they're gonna be strong. Um,
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
I got
No,
Calgary
that's not a
second.
knock on that line or anything or any of those guys. It's more of like a yeah, he's a pretty good two-way forward coming into the league already, so should just help.
Um, so I got Calgary second, so dropping a spot, but I think they'll still be good. But yeah, I see where you're coming from with the goaltending. Could definitely be a major issue moving forward. San Jose, I got them in third. I think that they still got a pretty good shot at going all the way. I hope they do, just for Jumbo Joe's sake. Um,
This is
they
probably his last year, right?
I would imagine so. I mean, I'm sure he wants to keep playing, but
At
he's
a
third
certain
line
point, his knees aren't
center.
going to let him.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. He's not fast. He's their third line center. He does what he can, but I think he'll be done eventually. And then I got Arizona in fourth, so just like you. I think that they will be in contention for playoffs. I think, um, you know, adding Phil Kessel, and they can't possibly have as many injuries as they did last season, and having a lot of guys like Clayton Keller step up and perform at the level that they were predicted to will be huge for that franchise. Having a new owner who's willing to spend money, uh, I think they'll be right in it. Um, Wearing those Kachina jerseys are just beautiful too. So I think they're going to be in it. I got Vancouver up next, so a little bit of a change up from you. I don't think that they've done enough to make playoffs. I think they're still a season or two away, but they're definitely moving in the right direction. And
They
then I
still need some
have
work on their defense and waiting for Thatcher Demko to develop.
yeah, for sure. And then I have Edmonton, Anaheim, LA. So pretty much the same as yours, but just a little bit different. So yeah. So my division winners are Vegas, Dallas, Tampa, and Washington. And so yours were San Jose.
Nashville, Washington, Tampa. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a little bit different in the West, but yeah, so we'll see. We'll have to revisit that after the season and see how right or wrong we were.
Yeah, I mean, I basically consider these predictions just names out of the hat
Oh yeah, I mean, so
at
much can
this point.
happen. Um, so out of out of those predictions, who do you think's got what it takes to go all the way this season? What's your Stanley Cup prediction?
I'm gonna say Colorado.
Ooh.
I was going bold. I didn't really want to just go with the generic. It's probably Tampa Bay this year, but I really think I just have this weird feeling about Colorado having an amazing season,
Yeah.
and kind of looking at that at the potential path to the Stanley Cup. Like they could have a fairly easy one if they finish the divisional spot where they play like St. Louis or Dallas. For a team like them, they might be able to push through that a little bit easier than the old school like Nashville Winnipeg series, right?
Yeah. And they looked sharp against number one seeded Flames last season. I'm
Exactly, and
surprised
that's
that
the other
nobody.
that's the other thing is how well they were able to shut down that Flames offense and the entire team,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
which
Who
makes it even more plausible to me that they can take on a stronger team than them, but still come out on top.
who do you have for the Cup runner-up? Who's coming in from the East?
I feel like this might be Toronto's year too.
Yeah. That's who I'm
It's,
thinking.
as
Toronto.
difficult as it is for me to see Toronto get through Boston in the first round, it's got to happen one of these years. I mean, Washington beat Pittsburgh. It's going to happen
Yeah,
one time or another.
that's true.
And after that, I mean, their roster is just so much better than almost every other team
Yeah, I think that
that
they got a
it's
real
it's hard to see
chance.
them not.
I'm predicting that Dallas wins. So I think that they got a really good group of guys and they added some key veterans. Um, you know, things have got to go right. They've got Corey Perry and Joe Pavelski, but they have a pretty young team otherwise. They've got Rupe Hintz and Miro Heiskanen who can make some impact. So I think that I got them. I've also got them against Toronto. So we'll see.
Yeah,
Um, and then let's go into some individual trophies. Um, so uh, for the President's Trophy, actually, I've got Vegas. I think they're going to win the league this season. Who do you think?
all the way. Okay. Um, yeah, I Tampa Bay. Their roster is still the regular season one, right?
Yep.
Um, I mean, it's hard to see anyone getting to the level that they did last year, and because Tampa didn't lose many significant pieces, that they are probably going to be about as good as they were. And I don't see like Toronto or well, Toronto's really the only other competition I have for them for that. I don't see them putting up 120, 130 points.
I I don't think that Tampa's going to be as good this season because of how much better a lot of teams in the East got. With
Okay.
Florida jumping up, I think that they're not going to be able to just steal points as easy. So
Okay.
I think they're not going to be as strong, but they'll still be definitely in contention for that first spot. I think they'll definitely win the East, but I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. What about for the Rocket?
No, that's Ovi. That's Ovi's
Yep.
award.
Yep. I think so too.
Honestly. I mean, last year was Ovi, then Draisaitl had one less, and I don't see Draisaitl putting up 50 again.
Yep.
Don't really see who else is going to challenge Ovi for that. The only way someone else is going to win it is if Ovi has an off season.
Yeah. I think it's his to lose, and as someone who wants to see him break that record, I need to see him win another one.
Yep.
Get his ninth. Um, okay. So what about the Hart?
So I'm going to go right along with my Colorado's going to have a really unreal season. Nathan McKinnon.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, uh, there's
He's
some
almost
usual
there.
suspects that you can. Yeah, I think that's a solid pick for sure. Um, and it's actually the same pick that I have. So
Nice. Coordinated.
so yeah, I mean he's definitely made his name in the league the last few years.
Yeah.
He's
He's kind of been
managed
on
the
the verge
team.
of one of these major individual awards for a couple of seasons. So I think this is just the one that's going to push him over the top when the team builds up around him.
Yeah.
And because he's going to have Makar and Gerard feeding him all day long now,
Hmm.
that he's going to put up a few more points. He's probably going to be a really close contender for the Art Ross, if not win it. And that's pretty much a guaranteed Hart Trophy if they make it playoffs.
Yeah. So who do you have for the Art Ross? I've got McDavid.
Yeah, I put McKinnon there. It's going to be him. McDavid might be a little bit less because I'm anticipating a little bit of a shift in the way the Oilers play this season that might impact McDavid's points a little bit.
Okay. No Cooch.
Just as they adjust, and we're not 100% sure who's playing with who yet. And
Okay.
even though it sounds like McDavid's playing with Draisaitl through the year, they're not starting there. So
Okay.
McDavid's going to have random whoever's on his wings. I think it's going to start with like Joaquin Nygaard and James Neal to start the year.
So who do you have for the Norris?
I feel like the obvious answer is going to be Victor Hedman, but the person who probably should get it after this season is going to be Seth Jones, but he's not going to because he's a defensive guy on a bad team.
Yeah, probably.
And the Norris, as we've learned, is a very reputation-based award.
Yeah.
It's kind of like recognizing not necessarily your defense from this season, but just how flashy you were over your career. If you haven't got one yet, it's yours.
Yeah.
Jones isn't quite there yet.
That's the reason I picked mine. I got John Carlson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, he could have a good season because he was kind of in contention a couple years ago, then kind of fell off a little bit last season in terms of Norris talk, but
Yeah, he deserved to be up there. He just wasn't really mentioned. But
yeah,
yeah. For the Vezina, I've got Ben Bishop.
I have him as the primary candidate. I also threw in Pecorine
Ooh,
as
off the
kind of
board.
like just a little bit. He could be a contender in that one, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if you got
Just
Nash,
because I have Nashville finishing first in the division, that he's going to have a good season, and I think he might be due for one.
yeah. For the Selkie, I've got Stone and or Barkov.
Stoner Barkov. I threw Couturier on there.
Ooh, that's a good pick too. Yeah.
That's I kind of put Philly jumping up the standings a bit. Couturier had an amazing year for his two-way play last year, and he's starting to get some of that recognition.
Okay.
And I think he might get some votes for it this year if the Flyers play as well as we think they are.
Okay. What about the Adams? I've got
Probably
Quenneville.
Quenneville.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's his
honestly,
to lose before the season starts.
basically.
Yeah.
We're all anticipating Florida jumps up, and the team with the biggest turnaround is the Jack Adams one.
Yeah. Lady Bing.
Evander Kane probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's
Andrew
off to a good
Shaw.
start, isn't he?
Yeah, I've got
Ryan O'Reilly.
Ryan O'Reilly. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he's gonna win it again. Yeah. Okay. Let's change gears. Maybe let's go some lightning round. You ready for lightning round?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Breakout years.
Rupe Hintz.
Yeah.
Um, Luke Kunin, that guy in Minnesota we were talking about not on an episode a few days ago,
Oh yeah.
that
Yeah.
earned the favor of Bruce Boudreau and seems to be living up to it so far. Um, if he's healthy, Andre Kasha in Anaheim, he's kind of
Okay.
been on the verge of that for a couple years. Ethan Bear had an outstanding preseason in Edmonton, and he's going to start the year on the second pairing. So he's gonna make a name for himself with his two-way and kind of dynamic offensive play.
Okay.
And also out of Edmonton, a long shot one is going to be Shane Starrett, who is a
Oh.
goaltender for the Bakersfield Condors right now. But because Edmonton's situation in net is very uncertain,
Mhm.
I do foresee the possibility of partway through the year calling up him to play a few games, and he might just kind of have a really good close out to the year.
Okay.
How about you?
Okay. I've got Rupe Hintz. I've got um what's his name? Philip Hronik. Is it Philip? Yeah, the defenseman in Detroit.
Right.
And I have got Kevin Labanc in San
Ooh, yeah.
Jose. You know, he signed that really cheap deal this off season.
Yeah, I feel like someone just kind
So
of typoed the contract there when they were signing that.
yeah.
Nobody noticed.
So I think he's gonna be have a good year. And I had somebody else that kind of slipped my mind a bit. Jared McCann in
Okay,
Pittsburgh. It's a bit of
that's a bold
bit of
one.
a weird one, but I think he's going to play a lot with Crosby and Gensel. So I think he's gonna.
You think he's going to beat out Brandon Tanev for the first line winger spot?
I mean, it might be close,
I'm
but
just checking right now. Um,
another one is Andreas Janssen in Toronto.
okay, I've
Um,
heard a lot about him.
yeah, he's playing with
What type of player is
Matthews.
he?
He's a skill guy. Um, Good stick handler. Plays with Matthews. Hyman's out
Okay,
for the beginning of the season,
okay,
so
so it's his
he has.
shot.
Yeah, he has been playing on the power play too a little bit, so I think he's got a good shot. And then Brandstrom in Ottawa. Um, it's a perfect opportunity for him to. He made the team out of camp, and you know, it's a bit of a tire fire, but he could definitely make a name for himself this season. So that's who I've got.
Absolutely.
And then yeah, any surprises you think might be in store for this season?
Um, I mean, looking in terms of random surprises out of preseason to start, um, Zach Ronaldo still keeps getting contracts.
Yeah,
This is new. This is astounding to me. I think he just signed in Calgary, right?
I don't know. Um, any coaches you think are going to get fired?
It's probably Boudreaux is the number one candidate for that.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, I'm pretty sure he was on the hot seat to start the year or to finish last season, and he's already there to start the year. New coach or new GM has come in above him, despite having his confidence so far. Eventually, Guerin's going to want to get his own guys in.
yeah.
So if
Um,
if Minnesota starts slow again, like we all expect them to, that he's probably going to be gone by December.
could very well be. I'm going hard with my Winnipeg prediction of them struggling this year, and I'm going with Paul Maurice.
Yeah,
He's been there for a while. Hasn't got it done. Has had a really deep team and has had his struggles. So I think if they struggle early, he might be on the hot seat. So I think he could be on his last season here.
yeah.
Other than that,
How hot do you think Babcock's seat is in Toronto?
I think if they lose to Boston again in playoffs, he's gone. And then they bring in that what's his name? Um, the guy from the Marlies. What's his name?
Sheldon
Sheldon,
Keefe.
Sheldon O'Keefe or whatever. Yeah,
Sheldon Keefe. Yeah.
yeah. I think they bring him in.
Yeah. I like that though. Only if you lose to Boston.
Yeah, I think
You can lose
otherwise
to
they're
any
fine.
other team. You can lose to Ottawa in the first round of the playoffs, but
No.
you're fine. Just don't lose to Boston.
Okay, if they win a round in playoffs, he's safe. But if they don't win a round, it's going to be the talk of you know Canadian sports media all summer, is if
Yeah,
he's fired or not. Um,
definitely.
but I think that this off season with the moves Toronto has made, with Dubas kind of going against the grain with Babs, getting in some guys who don't fit Babcock hockey, they're kind of in the direction of a team that's not really Babcock esque. So
It's
could
almost moving on from Babcock under his own.
yeah, yeah. So
It's like here's the players you're gonna play with
yeah, I mean
without kind of really using him.
if he evolves and starts to play a bit different of a game, I think that he's fine. But yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. That yeah, he could
So we're just
be.
gonna wait and see if Jason Spezza starts getting first line minutes, 20 minutes a
Yeah,
night, and in the
exactly.
last 3 minutes of every game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I guess that's pretty much all we covered. So uh, yeah, we're in for an exciting season. We're gonna be doing a weekly episode. They'll be releasing probably Monday nights or Tuesday mornings. So you know, stay tuned. And without further ado, I guess we'll see you next time.
Definitely, and make sure to keep up to when we upload content between the podcast and blog posts throughout the year. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter. The links are in our posts on the website. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.